Once again, I thank to for this program. Really, we are great impressed by the Mr. Goenka, the presentation. Really, it's a great presentations for all of us. From banking side, the topic is the banking policy and cashless transactions in India and the mantra of spreading cashless economy. Really, the bank is enablers. The great enablers for make India this cashless concern the real true sense. And the audience and my co-speakers, the panel members, I know Jitendra Gupta for a long time, since 2007 and 8. We have been associated. And Mr. Tushar Dwivedi, the Senior Business Solution Group, Kotak Mahindra Bank. And my left side, Mr. Poonam Bola, the Head IT of the Coastal Local Area Bank. Welcome to all. Let us, in the morning we have seen the presentations given by, starting from the people, Mr. Goenka, the great presentations. And we all from banking patronate sides. And as I mentioned, we are all great enablers. IT is working, government is working, RBI is working, or the IT solutions. They are all working, they will provide. But the real challenges, really happening place, battlefield is the bankers. Because as for in India, the RBI policy, money transaction takes place in the banking lines. And it's a good beginning. And the banking has been, in India, we have already started this working for a long time. But as the percentage of a transaction, percentage of numbers, it's a very small numbers. But henceforth, the things already in place. Government is positive. How we can move forward? Let us discuss. So, friends, the topic what they are given to us, for channel members, these are the topic I want to explain. What are the challenges in creating cashless economy? Anybody from my panel, those are interested, please. Going ahead, you can take.
Yeah, I guess it's certainly a pleasure to be here among all of you. Yes, as you rightly mentioned, Mr. Behra mentioned that government is putting in efforts, systems are putting in efforts, and banking probably being the last bastion in terms of taking the responsibility of driving this whole initiative. There are 3-4 aspects on which probably I would like to start, and then probably my fellow panel members can probably expand that as well. One is, it's a great initiative, correct? All of us would like to have a less cash society, eventually leading to probably say cashless society. But the fact remains, 100 kilometers down Bombay, down south if you go, probably you would understand that in terms of understanding literacy, there are challenges. The geographical complexity that we have in our country is probably something where we need to make sure that each and every person is educated, appraised about the benefits that he will see of using a particular solution. Again, 2 aspects to this. Thanks 2 weeks back that we've seen large 11 number of payment bank license being issued, and probably that will lead to huge amount of penetration in remote locations, rural areas, and unbanked population probably will start seeing some amount of benefits. Jan Dhan Yojana, again, plethora of customers being added overnight. In less than 365 days, we have heard, 75 crores customers being added. But still, it's only a tip of the iceberg, because customers have opened account with the bank. Is he aware about the banking facilities? Is he aware about the banking solution? Is he aware about the channels that needs to be used? Is probably where the big question marks are. And part of the banking, as I mentioned, I think it's our responsibility to work along with probably the large government department, or probably to ensure that all banks put together, we eventually put up an effort to educate individuals in terms of using specific platforms. May it be a net banking, may it be mobile banking, may it be wallets. But I think the large effort needs to be done in terms of education of customers. Unless the awareness is built, it's not going to take us to the next level that all of us envisaged in this room. And personally believe it's a Herculean task. It's not going to be an easy cakewalk. But then the beginning has to be made. And I guess Indian government, the RBI, NPCI, everybody's vision seems to be in that direction. So I guess equal efforts, if not more, is probably going to go in from banking front as well.
So I'm Jitendra Gupta, founder of a company called Citrus Pay. Citrus mainly focuses on online and mobile payments. So in fact, I used to be banker 4 years back. So I used to work with ICICI Bank and I used to work on the digital payment side. And so while I was working in the bank, and ICICI used to be, or rather ICICI is the leading bank in terms of pushing the digital payment, bringing all the new forms of payment. But I was still feeling slightly constrained where the vision which for digital payments which I wanted to drive, I was like, let me take the punt and take an independent company approach. And fortunately, I would say the macro factors which we are seeing in India right now are phenomenal. So, so if you look at China, in China the volume of online and mobile payments are close to $1 trillion. In India, that volume is around $20 billion. The population is same. Internet penetration, as per yesterday's IMI release number, is around 33%, or sorry, 30% odd. In China, internet penetration is around 45%. So I was like, why can't India be reaching at the same level what China has proven in last 10 years? And this is while government is pushing enough, all the policymakers are pushing enough. We are taking the approach where we are saying, how can we take a vertical approach to solve? Because somebody needs to get on the ground while the policymakers are supporting through policies. So last year what we did is, we actually, just an example, like all the cab guys, if you look at, I mean, a year back, there was no, it was like assumed that cab payments have to be made in cash. It was so evident and apparent, and nobody was even, like, I think the various POS companies tried, but what they were missing is the experience side. So one of the important factors in driving digital payments is also provide the experience. Because the experience of digital payment has to be simpler than paying via cash. And then only you can actually change the behavior of the consumer. But payments is like a very, very tough problem to solve, and which is strongly driven by experience. So what we did is, through our wallet functionality, we said, hey, you just take the cab and don't worry about payment. Now, people asked us question, how can you debit somebody's wallet without his consent? Where is the PIN? Where is the password? We were like, what is the amount we are talking here? We are talking here 300 rupees amount. We are talking here, the person has already taken an action of booking the cab, which means he is giving consent. So how can we leverage technology to drive the experience? And this is where, and now see last 1 year, fortunately, like if you talk to cab drivers, they literally I'm seeing 10% penetration where the cab payments, especially the organized cab segment payments, are happening through digital mode. Similarly, I see many other verticals where we can solve this problem. One of the new vertical which now we are focusing on is if you walk into all these Kirana store guys and the small mom and pop shops, either the machine is there but it's not working, or machine is not there. Now the guys like us were like, I want to pay digitally, but the acceptance is not there. We are like, okay, let's solve this problem. So we are coming where, we are thinking where, okay, the machine is a problem, So how can we remove the hardware itself? Phone, everybody has a phone. Why can't we use phone to solve this problem? Where phone to phone transfer, but again the phone to phone transfer in terms of experience has to be so simple that the customer feels paying cash and counting notes is too much of work. And this is where I think when it comes to digital payments, thesis is that the experience is the key, and then only one can influence the consumer behavior. In fact, I was very impressed by the morning presentation by Mr. Goenka, where he mentioned that the 1% of GDP can be saved if transactions are converted from cash to digital. I think that's a huge, huge thing. And if that money is flowed back into making that digital payments ecosystem, I think we will be at a much ahead of China, forget equaling China. So clearly, a thing which I will separately discuss after this panel session is that how can the toll plazas be completely automated? I think that's a big segment where whenever I cross any toll, I actually struggle. That why do I need to pay cash to that guy? And again, if you give card, ask the PIN entry and all, that can't work. It has to be simpler somehow. And that experience which we need a policy maker, we need the government intervention to support. So that's what I would ask. Yes, it's already there, but still, you know, again I'm saying things are happening, but the experience is a problem. And one has to somehow think, and I'm not blaming anyone here or sort of saying that things are not working, but what I'm saying is, I think we are doing enough in terms of with the right intent, but the right intent has to be materialized into actions where it has to be metric driven, where are the metrics showing that the intent is met or not. It has to be timeline driven, and then there will be urgency to deliver something. And this is what I think, since we are independent companies, so we always focus by profit, survival and all of that. But I think if this behavior comes in the policymakers, in the regulators, that the urgency of digital payment will be way different than what it is today. That's my submission.
Puno, you can.
Hello.
What are the challenges?
Hello. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Yeah, Goenka ji, you know, he gave a very inspiring speech morning. The session inspired, you know, he covered a lot of areas where suggestions also practicable. I cover one or two areas. You know, in this major challenge we are facing, as I know, most of my part of service I worked in rural areas. You know, nowadays, even nowadays also, network is a major problem, even tele-network also, but we may talk about this and that, you know, we are providing this machine like that, POS. But actually, those people, even if are willing to do the transaction in the rural environment, they don't have even tele-network. That is the problem. You know that the major drops in the signals like that. Even if they initiate some transaction, if it is not working, then he is losing his confidence in that so-called system. That is the problem. Okay, anyway, this is nothing would happen in a single day. Anyway, people are taking, even government, all governmental sector and even private sector people, that they are taking a lot of initiation. Okay, things would move. That is one thing. But yeah, in the last year I read an article where Stockholm declared as a cashless city. Why don't our people, our policy makers take a decision, okay, at least they declare as symbolically one or two towns as a cashless society, cashless cities. If it is not possible, at least, you know, like a commercial area like this, Mumbai like this area, we don't to declare those, this particular area as a cashless area. But at least, you know, it may not be possible to declare the whole city as a cashless. At least a particular area, once we declare it as a cashless area, that spreads a lot of information, or at least it will act as a guidance to other cities, and people will follow. That is my suggestion. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Superb idea where you deliver the pockets of some city where you say it's completely cashless. and then people won't have a choice but to get into that behavioral mode, and this is how you can influence other pockets as well.
Thanks, panels. Really, as a banker, I'll give a practical experience of what are the real challenges. All stakeholders, like service providers, IT, government, all are everything in place. But what is the challenges as a banker, a real helper to roll out? I'll give a live example of. We have one Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, 13 lakh students are there. 13 lakh students. The students do make fees collected by class teacher. Reconciliations, depositing, managing, its challenges. It take me for 4 years to roll out. This year we could roll out 13 lakh students who pay their fees online, no cash. No cash. But it takes 4 years to, my point as submission is, it's a real challenge to roll out. We did one university called Cashless Campus, MP in Madhya Pradesh, 4 lakh students, all people. That's totally, it's called universities cashless universities. But to implement, it takes 1 year. One is service provider, then education, educating the authorities to get approvals, meet one by one in various classes, educating the students, educating the. Now they have been paying. They buy samosa in canteen, they have to pay 20 rupees, 10 rupees, 5 rupees, everything is cashless campus. The result is phenomenal. It is a really appreciable. It is a really, they enjoy the great benefits. But implementation is a challenges. So that here all stakeholders to take a challenge. As I mentioned, my Goenka ji there, I have been associated this National Highway tool payments from 2009, 2000, still we have been working. And like port community system we have been also, bankers integrated it. IT providers supported the all supports. But the benefit, when we come to the transaction level of 60%, 40%, then 80%, then there is a real challenges. How we can roll out, now we have to take it. Thanks. So again, we have some questions for us. Does the existing policy sufficient enough for perseverance of a cashless economy? These are the, does existing policy? Tusharji.
I guess no policy is sufficient on a given day, correct? You always want to do more, dil mange more kind of stuff, but it's an opportunity to make a beginning. And I think, again, probably being a banker, you normally think very traditionally. You do not want to venture into areas where you dope in the dark, where you don't have complete number control, where you do not know that what's going to be there in store for you end of 1 year. But I guess that's that's a change of scenario with the e-com companies or people like Citrus have brought to the table, where they are saying that first is the user experience. So the whole cycle has now become reversed. So now as a bank also probably we are thinking, can I probably get the best user experience first? Can I make customer happy? Once customer is happy, he will remain engaged with me. Then probably I can think about doing many more cross-product related stuff as a banker. But yes, I think eventually government will have to drive, so whether it is a domestic remittances piece where people are sending money between two cities here and from Bombay to a village or a place in Bihar or an MP. The challenge still continues in terms of it's never sufficient whether you want to do 20,000 rupees or 25,000 rupees as one-time payment. You can do only 5 transactions a month. You cannot to make more than 2 transactions a day. So those velocity limits, those breach of transactions. And unfortunate part is people are been, at least my generation, we have always seen the whole system figuring out why we do not want to pay tax, why we do not want to get highlighted anywhere in the system that I've spent so much of money. So to that extent, people are not looking at using digital channels. So a shopkeeper will say, you want to save 2 taka bachane ka hai, आप मुझे कैश में पेमेंट करो. So I have gone with my credit card only, but I'll step out, go to an ATM, withdraw cash and go and give it to the guy. So to that extent, I think it's a moral responsibility of all of us. And of course, as a institution, I think our endeavor is to improve the user experience and be as close as possible to the customers, so that eventually we see them talking, thinking, doing everything in terms of electronic transactions or less cash, eventually leading to probably cashless society.
Yeah, I think clearly Dil Mange More situation is always there when it comes to policies. But yeah, personally, I think government is doing a phenomenal job, at least in its thinking that how they can work towards digital payment. So I was very impressed when there was some draft opinion sort thing came up saying that there should be lesser tax for the people who are making their 40% or 50% of the payment digitally. Like Korea did that around 7-8 years back, and now Korea has actually solved that problem of dealing with cash, where there are almost 80-85% of payments are digitally happening. So they actually went slightly overboard and they're saying zero tax for till the time you're making digital payments. So the more than certain percentage of your income, which clearly is a motivation. So all these issues around a shopkeeper asking 2% extra, which is more of a dissuading digital payment. I think the same shopkeeper will say, oh, I don't need to pay this tax, which is 10%, if I take this payment digitally. So this 2% is still worth it. So I think those sort of things will drive adoption of digital payments. Another thing where I feel, well, RBI has done a phenomenal job in bringing this payments bank concept and have these entities giving open leverage to contribute to the financial inclusion part. I feel that another thing which policymakers can work on is like on this mobile wallets thing, you see the limit being 100,000 rupees. I don't understand the rationale of limits, because if there are no limits, ultimately at least those transactions will be tracked. If people are coming into the digital payment ecosystem, here what we are doing is because there are limits, so people are saying, I mean, anyway, there's 100,000 rupees, so then I need to pay cash, otherwise I need to open bank account, which is too much of formalities. So I would say rather limits should be removed to some extent, if not totally. It should be quite higher, because ultimately what are you competing against? You're not competing against the bank payments. You're competing against cash. So those cash payments anyway you're not able to track. So the better way is let the trail of the money come into the system, and then you figure out how to address the problem of money laundering and then the money moving from one individual to another individual. So because that's far easier problem to solve rather than today. That's my take. So I think there is still a huge amount of scope for policymakers to improve. But as Mr. Goenka told, I think the onus lies on us to push rather than just pull. Yeah.
Yeah, most of that part is already covered. Recently when I discussing one issue, my colleague once suggested, you already implemented the NEFT and RTGS. Why unnecessarily, society is totally depending on, most of our transactions are now issuing checks, DDs and all these things. The person who is taking the check and issuing, everybody know, the other party's data is very much available. You can straight away use the NEFT or RTGS to transfer that amount. But still people are, using these paper transactions. But of course, cashless is, even from cashless also we have to, it is not, paperless transactions also we have to encourage. Now slowly the government or other policy decision makers, they have to put a focus on it, how to minimize these paper transactions. Okay, if once we discourage the society or persons who are using the checks and DDs, if some sort of limitations, we put some sort of limitations, that will be, our transaction flow will be more easier. Even as a banker, we facing a lot of problems and challenges clearing the so-called CTS. Okay, now, platform wise the people say that it is a very robust and we can do this and that, but practically sometimes we are facing the small banks also, even big banks also, at the clearing time we have very limited time. Yeah, we have to complete the whole process in 1 hour or 2 hours, within 2 hours. Sometimes we are not in it because of various reasons, challenges, a network or something. We are not in a position to clear the clearing within the stipulated time. Then the whole burden is falling. Who is that person who is discharging his duties? Yeah, once we discourage this sort of paper transactions, then automatically it will be very much useful to the society. That is my understanding and my suggestion. The Goenkaji or some other person, apex level people, I think they will think of it and they will suggest to the government, concerned departments. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
No, for me, actually, my all panels are expressed nicely, but government or the regulators, they are really, what exactly they are looking for the one is safety, security, and accuracy for your transactions. And I have seen also, today you go to any state sale tax and other taxes, 85% now move to the cashless. Definitely it's a great policy. And why government started? Because government working for all of us. Those are here because they have to see it's a convenient to customers, education to customers. The system should be operable. Otherwise, if they'll make it from tomorrow, you start at 80%. But if the system is not there, the convenience not there, comfort not there, the customers definitely. But slowly and steady, they are doing well, and existing policy there, and policy can be changeable also. As the suggestion comes from the customers, users, definitely they can. Now the present government is very positive for that. Okay, friends. Again, we have another question. What support banks need for cashless transactions? Tushar, please. What support bank needs? Because banker is a great enabler, as mentioned.
I guess I think some amount of probably, not at a policy level, but probably we can look at a program where we can incentivize some kind of, not incentive in only in terms of money, but enablement for the bank, because private banks like us, we always have been thinking, how do we look at rolling out a smart cities? How do we look at certain population or a strata of society where we say anything and everything has to be digital, electronic payments only, nothing related to physical checks or DD issuances as he was talking about. And I guess it's all about probably, some amount of, I wouldn't use the word diktat, but again, push from government. That drive really makes people more amenable and more acceptable. As an institution, if I put the pressure, I put the efforts, there are other avenues for customers to probably look at the other options. To give you a nice example, my son has been studying in an engineering college and is doing his BTech in the south. I won't name the university, but last 20 years they've been accepting only DDs. So I went and met the dean. I said, and the person who runs the entire university. And he himself is Harvard educated. He's been running this university for the last 10 years. So I went and told him, I said, what is the reason why you are accepting only DDs? And why not RTGS and EFT? And he deals with SBI, he deals with HDFC, he deals with Kotak as a bank. So all these three banks are also having core banking platform, connectivity across India. All parents, whoever pays more than probably 2.5 lakh rupee as annual fees, everyone has a bank account as well. He had no answer. He said, nobody came and told me or discussed this with me. So I asked him, I said, but you yourself must be doing banking transactions. Don't you feel that, doing everything through a particular channel is right? And we worked with him. It's taken less than a month for us to convince. And last batch onwards, he said that, yeah, no more checks or DDs required. Probably at times people do not assume that things are so simple. Or probably it is equally important as rest of the other things probably for him. So as a bank, I would certainly look forward for some amount of push coming from the authorities, the regulators, some more guidance, and probably, as I said, probably a level of incentivization to make sure that this engine is really, kept into the full throttle. That only will drive this. Otherwise, great policies, great philosophies, but at the end, on the ground, probably, people need to work more cohesively and focus on this aspect.
Okay. Really, the banking policy for a cashless transactions and how can forward I thanks to my all panel members who were expressed, and thanks for all patience hearing my people. Thanks to all. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you all guests. I would request you to please be on dais so that we just give you a token of appreciation on that. I will request our MD, Mr. Ajay Tyagi, to please come up on dais and give the token of appreciation to all our guests. We'll start with our session chair, GM Union Bank, Mr. H.K. Bera. Please give a big round of applause for H.K. Bera, General Manager, Government Businesses, CRSDS, Union Bank of India. Then it will be Mr. Tushar Trivedi, Senior EVP, Business Solution Group, Kotak Mahindra Bank. We have Mr. Purna Bhola, Head IT, Coastal Local Area Bank. Let's give a big round of applause to all the panel members. And last but not the least, we have from Citrus Space, CEO and founder, Mr. Jitendra Gupta. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, panelists, for all your views and ideas. And thank you for sharing with us how this policy can be made, what government needs, what bank needs.